What's up, y'all? Welcome to the Undrunken Podcast. I'm your host, Courtney, and I want you to join me as I talk with real people and have super gritty conversations about their journeys to becoming undrunken. So let's go. Dump the drink because it's time to get this party started. What's up, y'all? It's Nene, and I am I'm excited to share this episode. So this is Kalila, and Kalila found us through Gentry's episode. And if you haven't checked out Gentry, what are you waiting for? Go check her out, Life with Gentry. Um, I just think she is an amazing, just truth dropping queen, and she's always got some great reels and fun and really like great resources and programs. So be sure to check her out. Um, it's interesting. Kalila and I talk about the first year specifically around like giving up alcohol. And, they always say don't make a lot of changes or big decisions. And I don't know, through editing her video and just kind of everything that's happening in my personal life, like it's like, well, that went out the door. I everything in my life has changed since I dumped the drink, and it hasn't even been a full year. It's getting close. But yeah, lots of relationships have changed. My career completely changed. I bought a company. I moved, like huge, big life shifts, right? I said goodbye, um, to some family members that was really hard to do. It's just not socially the norm. But I knew it was the best thing to do. And I don't know, coupled with going on these retreats that I've gone on, especially in Peru, and when you do a deep plant medicine journey like I did, that's the same thing, like don't go home making all big decisions and move to another state or anything like that. And um, so, while I don't think I've executed perfectly on some of the changes in my life, I do think everything is for the right, maybe not right, but for the good reasons and intentions, certainly. And there's a lot of good new things, new relationships, new places. I joined an MMA gym and I love it. And the people there, some of them are people I've actually known for a long time. And um, it's just really, there's just been a lot. And, when you're thinking about change, right? Like, especially given when you finally get some clarity, right? Alcohol's not numbing you out. Um, yeah, there's a lot of emotions that go with that. And I think sorry, I'm moving and I know the lighting's not the best. But yeah. Um, yeah, emotions. I've always looked at emotions as like emotion, energy and motion. And I think some emotions are heavier and some are lighter. And if you've never heard about the change curve, like hit me up. I would love to like explain the change curve to you. But it's a really, really great model for visually seeing the emotional um, curve that goes along with big changes. And I just think it's a beautiful thing, to lean into those feelings, right? Even when it's really hard and heavy, fully feeling them. I really love the be the buffalo, right? The buffalo like runs into the storm. And that's become something I've really kind of embraced, especially since Peru. Peru was life changing, y'all. I'm just saying, spiritual surgery. I talked a little bit about it in my episode with Safa last week, which I've really been digging on that episode. I find myself really leaning into like the episode that from the week before lately. And I think of one, it's because they're just really good, and two, it's just with all sorts of things going on. It's my busiest season for work because it's mountain bike season. The student league teams just started practicing, and that's, it's just such a great turning point in the year for me because I know bike races are just around the corner. And I just went to a bike swap and I got to meet the dude Wick from Dirt Abides. I'll definitely link to his stuff. This guy's been around forever and done a ton in the mountain bike community. And that's really inspiring to me because I really want to give back. And that's why I bought Squishy. And I've been reaching out to some groups that I really adore on, you know, some deep discounts and sponsorships and stuff. So yeah, there's lots going on in life. And so it's easy to really absorb the episodes that I'm producing and posting um, right now because they're naturally right there and I'm listening to them numerous times. Um, yeah, I've been really jamming out to the Hamilton mixtape, that a friend introduced me to, and it's like it's just fun, and there's a lot of really great artists on there, so I'll link to that so you can all check that out. Other than that, let's dive in. Let's hear from Kalila. Kalila's got 2 years, so I interviewed her before Christmas, and her 2 year mark was on December 27th. So let's give some love out to her for that and let's hear her story. Hi, Kalila. It's nice to meet
Hello.
you.
So nice to meet you as well.
Yeah. So you mentioned that you found Undrunken through um, Gentry, which
Yeah.
is awesome. So, how did you discover Gentry?
Oh my gosh. I actually don't remember. It could have been like a random reel that just popped up. I have no idea. I think I've been following her on Instagram for like probably over a year.
Okay,
Yeah.
awesome. And has she been inspiring to you in your own journey?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, just especially like first getting sober, I followed as many people that I could find that weren't drinking because I felt like I didn't know anybody that wasn't drinking. So, um, finding people that like were living a fun, fulfilled life without alcohol was so important to me and it was super helpful. Yeah.
Yeah. When did you dump the drink?
December 27th, I'm coming up on 2 years, so 2021. Yeah. Woohoo. I know. Exciting.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Yeah. So your
Oh,
episode will go live after your anniversary, but that
oh,
is
that's so
super
cool. Yeah.
awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, congrats
Yeah.
on 2 years.
Thank
That's
you.
awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is, especially when you're like, I don't even know if I could go 24 hours or a week
Yeah.
without it. So,
Were you
yeah.
were you drinking a
Super
lot
power-
before you decided to stop?
Yeah, I was drinking pretty much every day unless like if I was working because I worked night shift. That was pretty much the only time when I wouldn't drink. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So what happened? What got you to the point of wanting to change your relationship with alcohol?
Well, that's kind of a loaded question for sure. I had been wanting to quit for like a long time, but I think before it was like, well, I'll do like dry January or like sober October, like just to take a break. But I never thought that I needed to quit like forever. And so I think like I'd be like, oh, I'm gonna take a week off or a month off and like kind of try to moderate after that.
Hmm.
And then before you knew it, it was like straight back into drinking just as much as I was before I would do that.
I think a
Take a
lot of
break.
people listening can relate to that. I know I
Yeah,
can. Like so
yeah,
many pauses and then just like, oh, I'm just gonna take it easy.
exactly. Yeah, it'd be like 2 or 3 days, and I'd just be straight back to step one. And so I think like I had tried so many times to moderate that I kind of started coming to the realization that I was never going to be someone that could just moderate how much they were drinking. And really, when I decided to quit drinking, it's kind of interesting because I always thought like when I hit rock bottom, then that'll be my sign that I have to stop. And it was kind of interesting because I went through basically like a pretty rough divorce and had started really getting back on my feet. And I had taken a travel position, and I was actually like on the outside, I feel like doing really well. Um, I had started getting my life back together and was making really great money. But there's a couple of different things. So I was traveling out of town. So I was working about 4 hours away from home 4 nights a week. And then I'd come home on the weekends. And I had at the time full custody of my kids. And so I had like a nanny that would stay with them, and I'd come home on the weekends to be with them. And I felt like I was really wasting my time with them because I would come home and I'd spend, like the afternoon with them, but by like 4 or 5 o'clock, I had started drinking. And so I felt like I was missing out because I was too drunk to put them to bed sometimes. I'd be passing out before they went to bed, things like that. And then, so that was like a huge reason why I wanted to quit, because I felt like I was missing out on their childhood. And I didn't want them, they were getting to the age where I'm like, they're going to remember this. And I didn't want them to grow up remembering me like that. So that was a really huge reason why I decided to quit drinking forever.
And December 27th, so that's right after Christmas.
Yeah. So I had been trying to quit before this. So I would say, I think it was like September. I don't know if you've ever heard of Monument. It's like the online, you can go and get like medication that can kind of help you quit drinking. So like in September, I had tried that medication, and I just don't really feel like it worked that well for me. It worked for like a little bit, and then I quit taking it and started drinking again. And I think like a lot of that was because I wasn't addressing the root of the problem. So I wasn't like ready to quit yet. Like I wanted to, but I didn't want to. I don't know. So I quit for a little bit and then went back to drinking. And as I started drinking again after that, it was still in the back of my mind that I needed to stop, but I just wasn't mentally ready. And so after that break, I really realized that it was really starting to really be out of my control. And I think it was like kind of eye-opening that, I'd gone through this whole like process of getting on medication to help me quit, and that still wasn't enough. So I had come home for Christmas break with my kids, spent it drinking every evening, and I was actually on my way back up to work on the freeway. And I was just like beating myself up. Like, I can't believe that I wasted another weekend with my kids drinking. Like, I was just kind of beside myself. I was so upset with myself. And I got about 40 miles from home, and the freeway had shut down because it was snowing. And I had never done this before. I had never ran into this before. So I called in sick to work, and I turned around, and like I had this thought of like, maybe I should just stop at the store and get some beer before I go home, or a bottle of wine. And I'm like, in my mind, I'm thinking, why are you thinking that? You just got done beating yourself up for spending your entire Christmas break drinking with your kids. Like, what is going on? And so I passed the store where I would normally stop and get my drink, and I went home, and I spent that evening sober. So I drank kombucha and just hung out with my kids. And I don't know what the switch was. I guess just accepting that I was never going to be able to moderate, but like I kind of knew in the back of my mind that night that I would probably never drink again. So that's kind of how that came about.
Yeah. So you said you felt like the medication didn't work because you weren't addressing the root of the problem. Was
Yeah.
accepting that you couldn't moderate the route for you?
For sure. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I think that that was really because I think that I still thought, well, I'll take this medication to help me quit for a month and then I'll be able to moderate after that. And that just was not the case. That was not something I was ever going to be able to do.
Mm.
Yeah.
What do you think helped you get to that point of just accepting that? Because I think a lot of people feel like it's like a weakness, like, oh, I can't manage this. Like I should be able to manage this, right?
Yeah. What I did was I was already planning to do dry January. So I was gearing up for that. And I bought a book, This Naked Mind, by Annie Grace. And I had started reading it before, like while I was still drinking, I was reading it. And I think that she talks a lot about the science of how alcohol actually rewires your brain. And I think that like kind of unlocked something for me. Like I was like, oh, I know, like understanding the science behind why I was craving a drink and learning how to rewire that, I think was a game changer for me. And I recommend that book to like everyone I run across. It's like, what do you recommend? Like start out
Mhm.
with this book and then go from there.
I've
Mhm.
had a couple people recommend that book.
Yeah.
What other resources helped you? You said Gentry, right? And just finding
Yes.
people on social media to
Mhm. I
follow.
started following like anyone I could find that was online talking about not drinking.
So how
And
were you searching for that? So people like can.
I think probably using like a hashtag like um sober curious, alcohol free, things
Yeah.
that are related to that.
And just
Yeah.
looking for the most fun people and following them.
Yes, because I'm like, "Oh, I'm gonna be so bored if I'm not drinking," which is funny to think that way because I'm like when I was drinking, I was sitting there scrolling my phone, like, what did I think I was gonna miss out on? So weird. But I really a lot of my drinking I think was a boredom
Mm,
thing
mhm.
and not wanting to sit with my thoughts probably.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. What other resources helped you?
Okay, so I talked about like following people on Instagram that weren't drinking was huge for me. Um, Sober Powered with Jill. I listened to her podcast and the Naked Mind podcast. I would like listen to that literally all the time. Like in my car, if I was driving, one of those podcasts was playing. And I think it just helped to hear other people struggling with the same things. And just knowing like that I wasn't alone in my thoughts. Like I wasn't the only one that struggled with these thoughts. And then books I read, Quit Like a Woman, which was really eye opening.
Mhm.
Um, just realizing how brainwashed we are to believe that alcohol is fun and normal. Um, and it's super, yeah, that book was kind of mind blowing because they kind of get into like the alcohol industry and all of that. And then I read The Unexpected Joy of Being Sober by Catherine Gray. That was a really cute book. I liked that. So just reading like honestly like any quit lit books that I could get my hands on and then listening to podcasts, I feel like just having that in my mind because I was changing my attitude and my thoughts towards alcohol by having that playing in my head instead of, watching TV shows where they were drinking or things like that.
All the TV shows,
Yeah,
all the
all
movies.
the time. Everyone always has a drink in their hand. Always.
Right.
I'm like, well, if that person on TV can drink fake alcohol, why can't I drink? Yeah.
Right. I got my apple juice in a cup on the rocks.
Yes.
You mentioned the Unexpected Joy book, and I received that actually as a gift
Yeah.
um, a couple years ago, and
Mhm.
then it got packed in storage. So I haven't picked it back up yet.
Yeah.
But a good little segue. What are some of the unexpected joys that you have found through being undrunken?
Oh man. Um, I think just how happy I can be with a life that is quiet and peaceful and simple and not chaotic and traumatic all the time.
Mhm.
Um, I think pretty much most of my adult life has been spent in complete chaos. And I feel like, especially the last few months, even, like, I've just slowed down so much. And I'm like so happy and fulfilled in that slow season. I never thought that that's something that I would be happy with. I thought I would always want some sort of, I don't even know what to call it, like a,
I've heard people say distraction.
yeah, yeah, I think so. That's a great way of putting it. Yeah,
Yeah.
just being okay with it being simple and slow and quiet.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a huge one for me. Mhm.
What about the challenges? What are some of the unexpected challenges with not drinking? And
Um, so the pink cloud, we call it. Um, this is so funny because I learned about the pink cloud while I was still on the pink cloud. And I'm like, oh, that's so stupid. Like, these people don't know what they're talking about. I've never, but it kind of talks about how, like, the pink cloud of recovery is when you're still very euphoric and very probably unrealistic about what sobriety looks like. And I was like riding that hard. I was definitely feeling like on top of the world and so good. And I was, I had started working out, I had started eating healthy. I lost 50 pounds in
nice.
like 4 months when I quit drinking, like immediately.
Just
Um,
making better
it
food
just fell
choices,
off
not
me.
consuming empty
Yes.
calories.
Yeah. And so I was like doing all these things and I like felt so good. But yeah, coming down off of the pink cloud was rough. I mean, like, in the cartoons where they like fall out of the sky and they're like skidding across on their butt. And
Hmm.
I really, yeah, it was like a crash and burn. So
When did that happen for you?
that happened, let's see, probably, so I quit drinking in December. I would say probably April or May-ish. I had decided to try to work things out with my ex-husband, and we got pregnant immediately.
Mm.
And I was devastated.
Mm.
I just felt like I had finally got to this place where I was sober and I was giving my kids the best version of me. And I just felt like bringing another baby into the world was so unfair to my kids because I felt like she's going to get like the best part of me that they
Mm.
didn't get as young kids. And that was really hard. And we ended up splitting back up pretty shortly after. It was just, he had recently got sober and I was recently sober, and it was just not a good thing for us to try to manage our new sobriety together. So I left my travel job and I took a staff position. Um, and it was rough. I was making way less money than I had been before, trying to support my kids by myself. He wasn't really working. So I wasn't getting financial support in that way. And I just felt very like abandoned. And yeah, that was hard. That was really hard. And I had to learn how to take responsibility for my part in our toxic relationship because for so long I was a victim.
Mm.
has really had major victim mentality. And so managing all of this stuff, newly sober still, and then realizing that I also played a part in that. That was really hard. It felt like someone hit me in the face with a brick.
Mm.
A bitch slap of reality. So yeah, that was probably the hardest thing that
Yeah.
I've ever done. I mean, honestly, and I've been through some stuff. Um, but doing that sober was really hard. And obviously I wouldn't drink if I was pregnant anyways, but because I was like actively being sober and not
Right.
like,
You
oh, I
weren't
have to
not
be sober
drinking.
because I'm pregnant. Yeah.
Right.
Um,
Because there's definitely a difference,
yeah,
right?
there really is. Yeah. Because I
When you
never drank
don't drink,
when I was
right?
pregnant ever.
Yeah.
But this was like an active choice that I was making to not drink anymore ever.
Yeah.
So that was hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so they say, and I think I've read this in different places. So I think it's pretty consistent that in that first year, don't make big life changes and choices, right?
Yes, I swear, like when I hit a year, it was like the light bulb went off. And yeah, I would say give yourself a year for sure. If you're newly sober, don't do anything for about a year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cause I think, cause you damage your brain so much when you're drinking, especially if you're drinking heavily, that I think it takes about a year for you to kind of even out.
Yeah.
Or at least it did for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hear that quite consistently, that that first year is just a
Yeah.
lot of integration, shall we say. A
But
season of
I
firsts,
didn't
right?
yeah, I didn't even think that I had that bad of a drinking problem.
Mm.
So I didn't think that I was going to have anything to deal with. It was like, oh no, I'm just going to quit drinking and move on with my life. Um, it took me a long time to look back and go, oh man, I was not like, how did I keep my job?
Mm.
And I thought, oh, like, no, probably no one really thought I had a problem, you know. And looking back, I'm like, oh no, everybody knew. Everybody knew. There's no way that I was hiding that. I thought I was, but yeah, that was an interesting realization to be like, to think that you really didn't have that bad of a problem and then look back and be like, oh no, I was bad off in a bad
Mm.
way. Yeah.
Did you drink and drive?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So embarrassing. That's definitely like one thing that still really eats at me, that I did
Mm.
that. I never like got a DUI, which I have no idea how.
Yeah.
I just never got caught, I guess. But yeah, that is something that I'm still really ashamed about, because like how could I not only put my own kids in danger like that, but other families?
Yeah.
So selfish. So
Yeah.
selfish. Yeah.
How old were you when you first started drinking?
I didn't start drinking till I was 21. Yeah, I never touched alcohol in high school. My parents never drank. It was just not anything that we ever really did. And then I turned 21 and I went out for my 21st birthday and got blackout drunk, which is probably my first sign that I shouldn't drink. But yeah, I went out for my 21st birthday and then I just never really stopped after that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was really like, I mean, I would like show up to work sometimes still drunk from the night before. Um,
Well,
yeah.
they say it takes about 80 hours for you to fully process alcohol out of your system.
Oh man, I must have smelled so bad. Sometimes I think about that. I had to have stunk so bad and no one ever said anything.
Well, chances are
Really?
they probably have their own smell. I mean,
Yeah, yeah, maybe.
like we were talking about, like, social circles, right?
Uh-huh.
Like, has your social, you didn't know anybody, so you were looking online for people. Plus, a couple of
Yeah,
years ago, we're coming off of like this worldwide closure of
yeah,
society. Like,
yeah.
what was that like?
Um, you mean drinking during the pandemic and stuff?
Well,
Or
drinking during the pandemic and then giving up alcohol on
oh,
the cusp of that too.
yeah. So I graduated my school for respiratory therapy, and I became a respiratory therapist like as COVID hit our town.
Mm,
So I started my career in that. And I remember, this is so weird, but I remember specifically saying in the break room that I needed to probably quit drinking. And I think we were all just kind of like joking around and stuff, but I was like, yeah, I probably should quit drinking. And I remember my coworker looking at me and going, we're in the middle of a pandemic. Now is not the time to quit drinking. And I was like, oh, you're right. I mean, it was like anything, like any sign that I could be given that I should keep drinking, I would hold on to that because I
yeah.
knew I shouldn't be, but I'm like, oh, well, the mommy needs wine culture kind of. And then, I don't know, it wasn't really that hard to quit drinking during the pandemic though, I think because we were kind of like heading towards the tail end of it and I'd already kind of been through it. And then my divorce and everything like that. So the pandemic was kind of like old news by then,
Yeah.
I feel like, kind of.
Well, and I feel like, so, winter 2021, a couple years ago, we're all just starting to have Christmas parties again,
Yeah.
sort of
Mm-hmm.
thing. So here you are on like the cusp of the first New Year's in a couple
Yeah.
years,
Mm-hmm.
and you've dumped the drink. So what
Mm-hmm.
was that like? What was that season of firsts? You know, you haven't really gotten to hang out with people for a while because it was the pandemic. Now you come
Yeah.
out and you're not drinking.
Well, to be perfectly honest, I never really went out.
Mm.
Um, After I had kids, I don't really hang out with a lot of people in real life because I have kids. Like, I have a few mom friends that maybe would like come over and bring their kids and stuff, but I don't have a big social life.
Mhm.
I don't I never like went out to bars and went drinking. I mean, I did when I was younger, when my two older kids were babies, I did, but um yeah, that wasn't really difficult for me. And when I quit drinking, I was getting ready to take a month off of work. And so I had planned a vacation to take my kids to Bend in Oregon to do like some snowboarding and stuff. So I rented a cabin up there for 2 weeks. So I quit drinking and then I had like a week left of work and then we were leaving. So I spent my first 2 weeks, this was my first vacation I've ever gone on that I didn't drink.
Mm.
And so I took my kids up there and we ended up getting COVID while we were
Oh,
there. Yeah. So I spent like the early parts, like the first month of sobriety being super sick. But it was okay. I mean, we all hung out up there and I actually took like all my supplements with me and went grocery shopping and like we all ate like super healthy and I was like on this like I'm getting sober, I'm going to take care of myself, my health comes
yeah.
first. So it wasn't that bad actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you so you have your moms come over. I imagine there was a lot of wine that used to be involved.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when you all are hanging out now, what are you drinking?
I love non-alcoholic IPAs. So I know that some people are like, oh, it still has alcohol in it. It has like such a tiny, tiny, tiny amount that to me, it doesn't bother me. And it's not like I can't even finish one anymore. Let alone like a six pack to myself. Um, so my favorite ones that I have found so far are by Go Brewing. It's I just recently found them about 8 weeks ago, and they have a double IPA, which I can't remember the name of now, and then they have a Burn It Down IPA that is so good. Like, yeah, it's truly so good. I felt like when I first started like getting into the non-alcoholic beers, you would get some that were maybe like kind of watered down tasting, and these ones aren't. And then like Best Day Brewing has some good beers. Um, or like honestly, just a sparkling water. I do a lot of sparkling water with lime.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I kept LaCroix in business by myself for like
I was just gonna say, I think I should have bought stock in
yeah.
that.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, what is one lesson that alcohol's taught you that you want to share with the world?
Oh man, that is a great question. I got to think about that for a second because I feel like there's so many. I feel like alcohol makes you accept things in your life that you wouldn't normally put up with. I think it kept me in a really shitty situation for way too long. Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing.
Preach,
Like,
sister.
if you are dealing with anxiety, if you're dealing with depression, like the first thing you should do is quit drinking alcohol for sure. Yeah. I think we're so quick to try and put a band-aid on it.
Oh, that is like gold right there. It
Yeah.
lets you accept things. Yeah,
Mhm.
I agree. So what would
Yeah.
you say to younger you about alcohol?
Oh man. You know, I always used to say like I wish I could go back and do things different. Um, but I have decided that I was doing the best I could at the time with the information and the life experiences that I had up until that point. So I think even if I could go back and change it, I wouldn't. Um,
What will you say to your kids?
yeah, I'm sorry. I do a lot of apologizing and we talk about it openly. Yeah, my two older kids are 13 and 14 and
About the age that
yeah,
people around them are probably starting to experiment a little bit.
yeah, yeah, and I mean, I'm very open with them because they were right there experiencing it with me. Um, so I mean, I don't hide anything. If they have questions, I answer openly. I do.
Yeah.
Um, and neither one of them seem interested in drinking at all. So I'm not gonna say like, oh, they'll never drink. I mean, I never did meth because I saw my dad do that and I didn't want any part of that. But,
Mhm.
I still ended up with an addiction problem.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's just so important to be open with them and keep the discussion open. And
Yeah.
I hope that they know if they ever do drink that, they don't have to hide it from me too.
Yeah.
So,
What's your favorite thing about being undrunken?
oh man, everything. Not waking up hungover, not feeling like shit until 1 o'clock in the afternoon, not waking up and checking my phone to see what stupid text messages I sent or things that I posted on Facebook. Not feeling like I have to hide anything anymore. Like I put it all out there. I have nothing to hide. I have nothing that I mean, I have things that I'm ashamed of that I've done in the past, but I have nothing anymore. So I think that's huge. Yeah.
You mentioned that you're divorced, so are you dating?
We're back together. Yeah.
Okay.
So we got back together. Um, so our daughter was born in January and we got back together around May. and it's been good. I
Yeah.
think I think we both really truly needed a year to get our shit sorted out on our own. And I think that was like a huge, huge thing.
And is he still not drinking?
No, he does not drink.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Do you think
No.
that was a pivotal change for your relationship?
Yeah, yeah, we both got sober separately. Alcohol was not his drug of choice. Um, but yeah, we both got sober separately, and I think that that's been huge for both of us.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Have you listened to Gentry's episode or any of the other episodes?
I did. I listened to Gentry's episode. Yeah. I haven't gone back. I need to go back and listen to more. I always feel like, oh, I'm going to do it, you know, tomorrow or whatever. Don't. But yeah, I loved Gentry's episode. And some of the stuff she said, I'm like, well, that's heavy. You would never know what people are going through, right? Like she's
Yeah.
just so like outgoing and happy and
Yeah.
wow. Yeah. People go through some crazy stuff.
Yeah. She's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And I mean, she's a shining example of, people say people that don't drink are boring, and I'm like, the heck we are. Like,
Yeah. I am. I'm
no.
boring. I'm okay with that, but I'm okay with that.
I bet your
I like my boring
conversations,
life.
I'd be willing to bet people enjoy conversations with you more and you enjoy
Yeah.
conversations more. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, I've never been the type of person that likes surface conversations. I'm like, tell me your worst traumas. I want to know.
Yeah.
um, I'm like, let's get down to it. I love it. And being able to connect with people without alcohol as a hindrance is
Yeah.
really good. Yeah. So authentic connections.
Yeah. What is something that you do or have done that is typically associated with needing a drink for?
Um,
Like dancing on tables like Gentry or
I am like, I'm not a super bubbly person. Like, I think that I'm super friendly and stuff, but I'm not like that at all. So, oh man, I can't really think of anything. I'm not that exciting. I love that for Gentry that she's like that, but I'm not at all. I like watching other people do that, but
I had a
thing.
bucket list item in my 20s to sing karaoke sober 3 times in a year.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that was my big thing in my 20s, was like, I can do this. And I think
Oh,
I
that's
I think I
so
made
funny.
it twice.
Yeah, I
Oh.
could not. I couldn't. I would die.
uh
Uh,
Kalila, what is one question you wished I'd asked, and how would you answer it?
oh man. Let me think about this for a second. Hmm. I'm like trying to think of like something that maybe I would have wanted to talk about. Hmm. I mean, we kind of already talked about like, sorry, having to take responsibility for your own stuff. I think that was a huge one. Hey, that's enough. Um, yeah, I feel like we covered so much. I can't really think of anything. I'll think of it as soon as we get off of here.
We'll
I'll
set up.
send you a message. I'll be like,
Yeah.
oh, I thought of it.
Well, you listened to Gentry's episode, so I love to do quick fire on the Wheel of Life if you're game.
Yeah. Okay.
Awesome. So, a sentence or two, and it's totally okay if you go longer. I like to squirrel. On how being undrunken has affected these spokes in your wheel of life. All right.
Being undrunken has okay.
Yeah. So, how has being undrunken affected work?
Oh man. I feel like I am such a better advocate for my patients. Being able to take care of myself has just allowed me to be so much more present for them. I'm not thinking about how shitty I feel and how I don't want to be there.
Mm.
I would say I'm like a way better advocate for my patients now. That was way more than 2 sentences.
That's okay. I like it. Yeah. How has being undrunken affected money?
Um, yeah, I'm way more responsible with money. I cannot tell you how many times I'd wake up and be like, what did I order? I'm
It's
much
too
more
easy.
mindful. I'm much more mindful of where my money is going now, for sure. Yeah. And I
Um,
have a better paying job now, so which
yeah.
helps. Something that I probably wouldn't have done if I was still drinking. So, yeah, it's always good.
And we touched on this, but how has being undrunken affected your love life?
Oh man. I feel like we're getting to know each other like who we really are. I feel like we almost just kind of floated along for so long, and I think that we've always like truly loved each other. But yeah, having that like raw intimacy, not even physically, but just um mentally, and being able to have real deep conversations that are, unfiltered. Yeah, has been amazing.
How has being undrunken affected family?
Oh my God, my kids are so much happier. I can tell. Yeah, we just have such better conversations, and I don't think I realized this until after I quit drinking, but I think there's truly a time where your kids realize that you're drinking and that you're not sober, and they withdraw. I truly do not believe that kids want to be around a parent who's drinking. I think that they feel much safer.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree
So
with
I would
that.
say, yeah, if you have kids and you're thinking about not drinking,
Do it.
do it. It's so good for them.
How has being undrunken affected spirituality?
Oh man. Yeah, that third eye thing. um I'm not religious, but yeah, holy cow. I think that becoming sober has been the deepest spiritual journey I've ever taken in my life. Yeah. So I'd say
A
it's
lot.
affected a lot. Yeah.
How has being undrunken affected friends?
Yeah, I mean, I've lost friends for sure. There's people that I don't really talk to or hang out anymore with. But I also have connected with so many people that I probably never would have before. Um, and I've become friends with people that like reach out and they're like, I'm so glad that you share your story. Like, it's really like motivated me to stop drinking. And so like making friends like that is pretty amazing. Yeah.
I know that feeling. It does
Yeah,
feel
isn't
so
it
great.
a good feeling? You're like, if I can just help like one person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How has being undrunken affected self?
Mm. In every way possible. I don't think I realized, like, I don't know if I hated myself really. But I definitely have a level of respect for myself that I don't think I've ever had before.
Mm,
Yeah.
that's good. That's juicy. I like that.
Yeah.
Uh, um, thank you so much. So
Yeah.
how can people find you if they want to connect with you and share some gratitude for you sharing your story?
Yeah, I'll be honest, I don't really get on Facebook very often, but my Instagram is wizkalila underscore. So
Which I
yeah.
mean, mad props on the name. Is it
Thanks.
is it after what I think
Uh-huh.
it's
Yeah.
after?
Yes. Love it.
Yes, awesome, awesome.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. My
well, this
kids,
was
are my little DJs, so
I was gonna say this was a surprise
yeah.
to get your Instagram handle and
Mhm.
okay, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll have to do a dance party next time.
Okay, I'll try.
Oh, I'm like the worst dancer ever, but
Yeah, I dance like Tina on Bob's Burgers, I think. That's
uh
about the extent of my skills.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so, so much. This
Yeah,
was a
thank
lot of
you so
fun.
much. Yeah,
Yeah.
super appreciate it. It's been fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Thanks.
Thank you so much for joining me. I look forward to sharing more with you as we continue to explore being undrunken together with friends. I hope the Undrunken podcast is helpful and inspiring to all of you out there. So if you liked this episode, please send it to a friend and help share these stories with more people.